Thank you, guys. We have the service handouts. We have the service handouts. Yes.
They're right over here, Rabbi. I'm sorry.
Josh, back when we get the handouts. There's some shade. You want to come in, please? So in about a moment, we will have this service, and we wanted to have your voices a part of this as well. So that as we say goodbye to truly the matriarch of this family, we say goodbye to Shana, who has lived and loved and nurtured this family and this community. We wanted your words to be a part of it as well. Start with Shabiti Adonai Leneki, prayer that expresses that all the goodness that we have from life, God continues on.
Shiviti Adonai leneki tami inimini val imut lachen samach libi vayagel kevodi Abisari yishkon lavetach Ki lo tazov nafshi lishol lo titin hasilcha lirot shechat todireni od hachayim Orachayim Suva semahot et panecha ni'imot bimin hanetzah Shiviti Adonai l'nei tami Yimini
On that very first page, with the photograph of Shana, we read responsively, in the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember her.
In the blowing light of the wind,
In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we will remember her.
in the blueness of the sky, in the warmth of summer, we will remember her.
In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, we will remember her.
In the beginning of the year, when it ends, we will remember her.
When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her.
When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her.
When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her.
So long as we live, she too shall go, because she is our heart's love.
23rd Psalm on that second page. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, with hope and good.
Adonai roi lo exar in ode shear bitzeni Amen menuot yunapaleni גם כי אלך בקץ המוות, לא יגרע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן ראשי, כוזי ויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדיפוני כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני ימים.
Let's say it together in English. A psalm of David. You, Adonai, you are my shepherd. I Shana. You give me rest in green pastures and lead me beside still waters. You restore my soul and guide me in straight paths for the sake of your name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. Prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You've anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over with bounty. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. There's no house of God. There's all the universe. And where we connect with God most definitely is in our soul or in the Shana. And for there will Mom be too. Including part of this service. We'll say that her soul, her nefesh, her neshama is bound up with the bond of life and with the living. So right before the service, we had a ritual of tearing Kriya. And there is a tearing. You guys worked so hard to make sure that Mom was taken care of, and I know that Lisa and Judy, you guys were just so loving, as well as the family just came together to help her through these most difficult times. But even with the tearing, there is still that sense that it's not over. What we have, and all you have to do is pause for a second and you think of it. And, there's a part that wherever you are, there's a part that shines. And so we have this passage that makes reference to two things. One is the tearing and the sowing, and the other is the removing of rocks and the gathering of rocks. And you can see on the top of many of the headstones are stones that symbolize that people came and gathered those stones together as a part of the remembrance. And so it will be on each of the visits that you come back, bring a stone. Maybe it's one that you found here, and in desperation, don't steal one from others. Don't take something off for someone else's stone. But when you're walking around, you find something nice. You go, oh, this is pretty. You can even paint a flower on it, right? You know what I mean? So when you come back and say, Mom, you would have done this, right? You place it, and that'll be your thing. There's a special ceremony which we will have between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And I'll have a little service right out here. And we'll be able to come and visit these sites. So let's read that passage from the book of it. It's on page 2. We say a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for being born and a time for dying, a time for planting and a time for uprooting the plant, a time for slaying and a time for healing, a time for tearing down and a time for building up, a time for weeping and a time for laughing, a time for grieving and a time for dancing, a time for throwing stones and a time for gathering stones, a time for embracing, a time for refraining from embraces, a time for seeking, a time for losing, a time for keeping, and a time for letting go, a time for tearing, a time for sewing, a time for silence, a time for speaking. As she most certainly was a patient child, a woman of valor. On Shabbos, it's the prayer that is traditionally said by a loving husband for his wife. I say this now in honor of Shana. A woman of valor, who can find? She's more precious than fine pearls. Her husband trusts in her, and so he lacks nothing. She does him good, never harm, all the days of her life. She perceives that her labor is rewarding, her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. She's clothed in strength and dignity. She faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom, while kindness is on her lips. Her children rise up and bless her. Her husband sings her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you excel them all. I'll share just a few words about Shana, and then again, Terry is going to share, and we're going to call some of the grandkids to share as well. I'm purposefully not standing in the sun over there, so you may choose to do that. Now, you can hear me. Those online may not be able to hear, but that's their deal. If you know that the Jewish world is in a 3-week period of mourning called Bein Hamtzarim, the time of the straits, begins with 17th of Tammuz, will conclude on Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. That's the evening of August 12th, just 10 days from today. Peggy, Terry, and Judy, and Lisa, and many of the family know that yesterday we were supposed to get together with Shana, and she was in hospice. The hope was that we would share prayers and memories to help Shana feel the full appreciation of her loving family. Instead, yesterday, we gathered to share those memories and tributes in preparation for today's funeral. We knew that we were in the days of mourning and counting, again from the 17th day of Tammuz to the 9th of Av. We just didn't know when the end of that counting would be. So it is with hospice. Indeed, how can we find the words to express our feelings of loss for the passing, the matriarch of this family? For as long as most of you can remember, Shana was the strength that held this family together during the worst of times, times of loss and of sadness. It was she and Bernie that people could rally to help those through times that they didn't think there would ever be an end. How can we imagine a world without the core of this wonderful family? And yet we must find a way, both to honor her memory and to reinforce and strengthen the family to which she poured so much love and devotion. We owe it to Shana to redouble our efforts to continue her love of family and faith. She was born July 2nd, 1933, the daughter of Max and Jamie Lester. She and her older sister, Renee Haller, and her younger sister, Judy, who both of whom are here today. Renee's in the car. Hopefully got the air conditioning on. They grew up on the east side. We hear more often of the west side Jews, but the east side community was strong and good and a little bit more prosperous than the west side Jews. I say there was a difference between the east side and the west side Jews, and you're going to hear about that later on as Mackie will make clear that to Bernie that he was so lucky to be with someone who came from a little bit more privilege. And I'll let you share that story. She graduated East High School and even attended the Ohio State University for a few years, but school didn't work out, and Shana came back to Denver, and it was there that she met one of those East Side Jewish boys, Bernie Katz. Bernie had left his college days at DU for the Navy during the Korean War, served in the Navy, and it was during one of his leaves that he met Shana Lustig. I know that there are stories that they were introduced by some friends, but I had different stories as well. Okay. Anyway, they met, and during the high holidays, and he was a bit shy at first, and Shana had to get her sister to come over and talk. That's the story I had.
Okay.
She invited him that spring to attend a Purim party, and that's when they started to date. Some say they were introduced by friends for a first date, but I like the whole idea of meeting at a shul.
Okay.
Anyway, when he got out of service, Bernie and Shana were married. It was February 5, 1956. A year later, their love was blessed as Terry was born, and 3 years after that, Peggy was born. Bernie flourished as a salesman, at first with the Lindy Pens, and soon was their regional sales manager. But being a sales rep in those days meant that you had to be on the road for most of the week. And that meant coming home only on the weekends. And if you have, if you're a single mom trying to deal with two little girls and a dog that was wild and untrained, you were not so happy to be all alone. And so Shannon made it clear to Bernie that it was much better for him to come home and to find something else. So he did. He knew that just coming home for a few hours and spoiling the heck out of it, and then going away and making her being the disciplinarian wasn't so fair. And so they did. They had a lot of courage. They created their own business. So they opened up United Business Products. And the kids all worked at the store, and you'll hear their stories in about a moment. But what was most important was that the business earned the loyalty of customers, especially in the Jewish community. But for years and years and years, even after some of the bigger ones came out, the businesses in Denver knew that if they needed something, Bernie would get in his van and go out there. They're going to be taken care of. That there was a loyalty, there was a respect, there was a friendship. When it comes to needing something, they knew that they could turn to Bernie and to Shana. And that's how they wanted it, that they could be counted on, no matter what the need was, to make a positive difference. That kind of character is what good friends are made of. That kind of character is the pride and strength of a family. And again, in about a moment, we'll hear from family, and we'll suffice it to say that Bernie and Shana were blessed by family and friends. They were married for over 67 years. Bernie passed, I had 3.5 years ago, I have to confirm it, but it was at least 3 years, right? It was 2021.
December.
Yeah. These past few years have been especially difficult, of course, for Shana, but she found strength in the knowledge that Terry and Jerry and Peggy and Gary, you were her greatest accomplishment. And in turn, grandchildren, Jill and Brian and Alex and Paige, you were the light of her life, a great grandchild now too. Shana and Bernie were extraordinary aunts and uncles, played such an important role both to Lisa and to Judy. And as I mentioned, these days of mourning, of today, mourning of Shana, but also during the time of these 3 weeks, it's a time of mourning when you think of the destruction of the first and second temples. First temple in 586 before the Common Era, and the second temple in the year 70. But both times it was this fast day of mourning and the period that led up to it. So the saddest day of the Jewish world is coming in just 10 days. That's the 9th of Av, right? Tisha B'Av. But just a few days after that, the 15th of Av, Tu B'Av, is the day of love. Right? It's a day of romance and joy. And that's it too. Giving our time for mourning, giving our time for sadness is good. We need to feel that sense of loss, but we also need to reinforce the sense of love and of goodness, and perpetuating that which was at the heart of both Shana and Brittany and their whole family. It's a sense of love. Let's find inspiration from them. And that way, we will best honor Shana's memory and legacy. So, which one is going to go first? Okay, Terry.
Not going in the sun. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I can talk really loud because I was a teacher and know how to scream. scream my voice. But anyways, thank you for being here for our family and for us. This is my love to you. This is my love note to you, my dear sweet mom. I wrote this note to thank you for everything that you have done for our family, and especially for your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchild. Mom had lots of attributes. She was a wonderful wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, sister, and friend. She was a hardworking businesswoman. Truth be told, she was a bit of a gambler as she headed up to Central City. To the world, you were a mother, but to our family, you were the world. And this is why I will miss you every day. Mom, you gave me a great leadership role model by being the best Girl Scout leader in Denver. I remember how we sold dozens of Girl Scout cookies out of United Business Products. You showed me how to love and always reminded me about the importance of family. You showed love and compassion as you took care of your sisters when they needed you most. You taught me how to be a loving wife as I truly admired your devotion to Dad and your 64 years of marriage. Your work ethic truly impressed me and inspired me to pursue my own successful career. I inherited your love of flowers. You surprised me with your creativity when you carved out your own path by actively creating flower arrangements at Velcam Florist after you retired from the family business. Thank you for all the love and support you have given me in my life and for all the times you went without so I could have. The wonderful memories we have shared will forever remain in my heart. Your loving daughter, Terry.
Peggy.
Is it on your phone? Oh, make sure it works. Yeah, it's coming.
The memories of my mom that are closest to my heart are the small, gentle ones that I've carried over many years ago. As Gary and I moved the kids around the country for his job, my parents came to visit every place we moved to. My mom would come, help me unpack, and get the house ready for us to enjoy. There's a special story in Houston, but Alex will tell that story. Okay. In Green Bay, I told my mom we had to go buy food for the Passover Seder. And I like to tease her a little bit. So we got in the car. So we're going to go buy this food. About 30 minutes in, she says, "Where are we going? Why is it taking so long?" And I said, "We have to drive to Milwaukee." That's and laughing that we had to drive to another city. But that was 35 years ago. My kids love that my parents slept at our house. They were there when they went to bed and when they woke up in the morning. And my mom would make frozen chicken fingers for breakfast. She claimed it was healthy, it was protein. The kids couldn't wait to have breakfast. Those are very special memories as my parents were able to travel to various locations around the country and spend quality time with the grandkids. Whether it was through her selflessness or generosity, these qualities made her truly special. She had a way of making everyone around her feel valued and loved. She was tough, but also compassionate. I will carry her memory with me every single day. Her legacy will live on through the love and value she instilled in me. Though I will miss her physical presence, I know she will always be with me in spirit every day. Her life was a blessing. She will always be greatly loved and will be deeply missed.
So I'm going to just say a couple words. When my cousins and Rabbi asked me to speak, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say, and there were so many thoughts running through my head. But for me, it's difficult to find the words in the depth of our loss. but I hope to share a glimpse of the incredible person my aunt was. I'm very fortunate to have had such a special relationship with both my aunt Shana and Uncle Bernie. Many of you know, during my high school years, I spent several years living with them when my brother was ill and seeking treatment in New York. It was there that this special relationship grew. And I will honestly say that other than my parents, I think my aunt and uncle were my biggest fans. My aunt was not just an aunt, she was a beacon of love and kindness. And from the earliest memories I have, there was always that warm smile and heart of generosity. And as Peggy said, you know, my aunt was tough. I'm that kind of person that always wanted to help people. And when she said no, even in her, you know, towards the end, it was no, and don't touch her. And it was like, okay. But she had a unique ability to make me and my boys feel very special and valued. There was never a time, even towards the end, as I said, that no matter what, when I went over to see her at Medina, that always, how are the boys? How are the boys? No matter what. And even as her disease progressed, it was that thing that she said, no matter what. And same with the boys when they were little, and a birthday was never forgotten. My mom and I shared a lot of memories about my aunt and my uncle, and I can also say that she was an amazing big sister to my mom. She was there every step of the way, both her and my uncle, good times, bad, and so grateful for the amount of time that my mom got to spend. The time that my mom got to spend with my aunt and uncle. When it was time for my mom to leave, she ironically, she ended up on the same floor as Shane and Bernie, and it was there that I know they got to see each other almost every day, watching whether it was football or just dinners, and kids and I would go over there, play long-lasting games of Rummy Q, and learn how to play poker. And say that Rabbi always laughs at me because I like to gamble here and there, not so much anymore, but I learned that from my aunt and uncle, so I'll give them the credit. So today, as we mourn her loss, we also celebrate her life and beautiful legacy she leaves behind. She had an incredible mark on our hearts, and her spirit will continue to love in the love and memories we share. Though she may no longer be with us in spirit, she will always be a part of me, and let us find comfort that she is in peace and no longer suffering in pain. Thank you, Auntie Shana, for everything. You will be missed but never forgotten.
Thanks. I know the grandkids each have a little story or some. You want to come up, and Alex, you were called out.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And the others who wish, there's also going to be a gathering afterwards with the family. You can share stories there.
I don't really have anything prepared, but as I think about the memories of Grandma Shane, I think about like the best things in life are free. Like it wasn't anything like grand or spectacular, just like spending time with both her and Grandpa Bernie. Just in general, just the simple things, just spending every moment with them was really important. But some particular moments that come to mind is we were living in Dallas and we had a pet parrot at the time, Zordy. And as people knew Grandma Shana, like a while ago, she used to have like wild, like red hair. And for some reason, the parrot was really attracted to the red hair. Every time they visited Dallas, Zordy, kind of a crazy bird to begin with, but it just like wanted to go. It was like the nest for her. But yeah, just talking about the simple things, you know, I didn't realize that there was such like a gambling aspect, but I was going to bring up, I mean, like playing blackjack with her and Grandpa Bernie, going to the New York Deli, going to Hume's, and just spending time with them. And, you know, I did like a long time ago spend summers here when we were in Texas, and it really was just spent the simple times, you know, just getting lost in Grandpa Bernie, Grandma Shana's like little storage area, and just like exploring there. And yeah, just spending time. And yeah, I mean, as most people know, I feel like when Grandpa Bernie died, I mean, Grandma Shana really wasn't herself. So it's obviously like very sad, but I'll always remember the memories of her. I guess her natural spirit was before her disease took over. And I think that's really important to me because, I mean, towards the end, I feel like she's at peace now. And I think for me in particular, it's just important to remember the person she was before Grandpa Bernie died and her mind got altered. And so I've just learned a lot of lessons from her and all my grandparents. This is my last grandparents to bury. And I guess I'll always remember the simple memories. And just her joy of life, her joy with Grandpa Bernie. She just didn't really have she was just naturally happy with Grandpa Bernie and everything. And I know this is her funeral, it's not Grandpa Bernie's, but they were one and the same. And I feel like a lot of her life was directed by that. And so I always appreciate her personality. She was always very optimistic. Any situation she was in was always happy and upbeat. And so I will always remember and cherish the memories of her, even in her later stages, which were unfortunate. But I guess my own personal belief is, I hope she's with Grandpa Bernie. I feel like she does some nirvana and bliss wherever she is in the afterlife. And just God rest her soul.
Thank you, Alan. Lovely.
It's the most difficult time. That is the lowering of the casket. I'm sorry.
Oh, I can say something? Or?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex. It's gonna be a tough act to follow.
Just a short memory.
Yeah. I can't really add much more to what Alex already said, and I didn't really prepare anything either, but I had a very special relationship, I feel like, with my grandmother and my grandfather, and spent a lot of time with them. I didn't, on my dad's side, I didn't really get to grow up and meet my other grandparents, and I think maybe part of that was deep down, I wanted to spend as much time as I could with my other grandparents and parents of my mother, who's a pretty good person. So they were pretty awesome. Same thing with my my dad's parents. But grandma was just really special. I kind of like what everyone has said. I didn't know what people were going to say, but I keep hearing she just really cared about everyone and made people feel special. And I'd go over to the house and change a light bulb, and it was like I conjured up some magic, and that's what she would make me feel like. It's like, Grandma, I just changed the light bulb, and she's like, Brian, you fix everything, and I just screwed the screw into the wall, So she just made me feel a way that only a grandmother could, I think, and she was pretty cool. And I spent a lot of time with my grandfather, obviously, but when he was schluff, asleep, me and her would talk and just kind of reminisce and whatever it was, right? And so she was also kind of sneaky. I'd be getting water, and she'd be in her room watching the television in her special room, and Grandpa's over here. She's like, Barney. And all of a sudden I turn around, she's right behind me. I'm like, Grandma, what are you doing? And she would putter around, Candlewick, and she just owned that place. So, and she always wanted to give, right? So I'd be over there, and every time, right, it was grocery day. Somehow she made it up to, what floor were they on? 9. And all these groceries are out there. Never asked me for help. I always offered to help, and she's just no, Brian, you spend time with Grandpa and stuff. And she just gave and really loved. And she was a special person. I'm going to miss her.
So, Grandma Shana was an animal lover, and I'm an animal lover too. We had a dog growing up, Spotty, just absolutely loved my grandma, and adopted a dog named Bo, a little cat. He was a senior, and he couldn't walk very well, but Grandma loved him. She lived in Candlewick. We used to
the sneak you meant.
in a buggy.
Yeah, dogs weren't allowed.
So we put him in a baby stroller, and we would take him up and sneak him in. And she loved visiting with me and Michael and Bo. And She loved to watch the videos of our cat and the pictures. It always made her really happy. My brother had really beautiful dogs that just loved her, like just gravitated towards her. Any animal loved her. So I really appreciate that she passed along the love of animals to me. Two other things that I just want to add to that Alex or Peggy said about the chicken nuggets. Grandma always made us chicken nuggets as kids, which we loved. We didn't eat real breakfast when we stayed at their house or she stayed at our house, which is funny. And just throughout my life, she was at everything, every dance recital, every performance I did. As I got older, if I moved into a house, she was there. She packed up every house I lived in, even when she was like 89. She's always there for us. So I will miss her a lot.
I'm so grateful for all the wonderful memories I have with Grandma Shana. I love to laugh with her and ask her questions about her life, especially stories about her meeting Grandpa Bernie and the amazing love and marriage they had. She was one of my favorite people to share good news with. I'll never forget the way she would get the biggest smile and her eyes would light up when I told her something exciting, told her about something exciting happening in my life. She was my biggest fan and always made me feel so special. I will cherish every moment I had with her, but my favorite memory will always be her meeting and spending time with my son. She got to hold him, sing to him, and make him laugh. Remy was so lucky to be able to meet his great grandma, and I was so lucky to have that experience. I can't wait to show him videos of them interacting when he's older. The joy and love that exuded from her when she.
Thank you so much. Yeah, others have memories too, and so please share those later with the family. We're about to do what is the most difficult thing, and that is the lowering of the casket and the kavura, making sure that she is married. We do so with love and respect. Will you please rise? Adonai Lekan, Adonai Lekan, חיי עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, דיין האמת. We praise you, Adonai, our God, rule the universe, and formed us in the divine image. Nourished and sustained us, and caused us to be mortal, and yet was implanted immortal life within us. We praise you, God, for the truth. Agi bole Ram Adonai, Rav Lefashir, Zechapeh Hashem, Chesed, Zechayim, Yitzim, Barachim, Rabim. To make the flame, Barafech, and Matir, Chayim, and Shmei Achar. Michamocha, Baal Gevurot, Midom Elach, Melet Benik, Chaye, Matzmiach Yeshua. Eternal is your might, O God. All life is your gift. Great is your power to save. With love, you sustain the living, and with great compassion, you give life to all. Send help to the falling and healing to the sick. Bring freedom to the captive and keep faith with those who now sleep in the dark. Praise you, O God, for the imparting eternal life within us. Feldman's has given to us some earth from Jerusalem, and Shana was never able to get to Israel. We're bringing a little bit of Israel here. And this is not just from Jerusalem, it's from Mount Olives. It's considered the most significant place to be buried. And so this will always be with her as well. So I'll give you each of the kids come over, and grandkids too. This is for all of you. Earth from Jerusalem. We also have to make sure that this casket is buried, protected. We do so first with the back of the shovel to show our hesitancy, to say goodbye. But then we open up the face and do what we must do. We cannot leave here before we know that her physical remains have been protected. Just as emotionally, spiritually, she is with God and with you, her physical remains will be protected by the earth that you've placed. Once you've finished the shovel, then take the shovel and place it into the mound so that each person will be able to take it completely on their own. There's two lines. So sorry. It's on the other side of the road. I've never seen yours. On this fourth page, you'll find El Malay Rachamim. I made reference to this earlier. That is, though we bury for physical remains, from the Shama, for soul, that which animated them. That is part of the Nishmat Chayim, the breath of God that God breathed into us. And we say Yitzrov Etzah Chayim et Nishmata, and you can see that acronym at the bottom of the headstones, the Tiyeh Nishamat Tzorov Etzah Chayim. And so it is for Shana. Know that her soul is bound up in the bonds of God with life, with all the living, and especially with those who loved her and that she loved. You have in your DNA that is a part of you wherever you are. So each of you know, as you rise from your chairs, you chant El Malay Rachamim. El Malay Rachamim Shochein Bamaromim Absam Nocha Nechona Al Kanfei Hashkina B'Ma'alot Kedoshim Adorim Kezohar Rakia Mazirim Et Nishmat Shana Bat Red Mendo Menachem Mendo Leora Shalacha Leorama Began Eren Temenuchata L'chen Barachamim Yasireha L'setek Enafav Le'olamim Yitzrov Yitzrach HaChaim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachalata V'tanuach B'shalom Al Mishkava V'nomar Amen. We say together in English, O God, exalted and full of compassion, we pray that you will grant perfect peace and eternal comfort in your sheltering presence to the soul of our beloved Shana Katz. God of mercy, protect her neshama forever. May her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal love. Adonai, you are her portion. May she rest in peace. Let us say, Amen. The Kaddish Homer is on that next page, and we say these words to honor her memory. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shmira, Yalmad Barakarate, the Yamlik Makute, the Kayakon, Yomyakon, the Kayedakal Be Israel, Bagalav is Man Kabri, the Imru, Amen. Yeshame Rabban, Mabarak, Leolam, Olamay Amaya, Yitmarak, Yishava, Yitar, Dromam, Yitnase, Yitadar, Yitale, Yitala, Shemay the Kudishab, the Elam in Kol, Berkata, the Shirata. Tushbekata v'nechamata da'miram ba'alma imru amen. Yeshalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'kol Yisrael imru amen. Say shalom v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'kol Yisrael imru amen. We say in that last page, words share to one another and a reminder of love that continues on. We say, for the ties of love that death cannot sever, for the companionship we shared along life's path, for those gifts of heart and mind which have now become a precious heritage. For all this and more, we are grateful. Now help us, O compassionate God, not to dwell on sorrow and pain. Help us instead to find within our hearts the courage to return to the task of life and its joys. Amen. May God comfort you along with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. We say, may you go forth with life and with peace and a sense of love and goodness and appreciation in your heart. Amen.
We have one thing to say. For those that would like to come over to our house for lunch, we're doing that now. It's in Cherry Creek. The address is 452 Detroit Street. So
be careful where you park. If you're coming by, there's 2-hour limits on our side, and you just need to pay attention to the signs. Because if it says you're going to get a ticket, you will get a ticket.
we welcome all of you, and we're heading there now. So 452 Detroit Street.
Yeah.
You want me to help you?
Yeah.
Who do you think is 3, 2, 1?
We'll follow Lisa.
Dad, will you grab?
For the flowers. Dad's gonna go to the car.
There you go.
You wanna give me
You
a-
good?
Okay.
Wait.
Not steady.
Okay, hold on. I got you. Wanna go down there? Be careful, there's a lot of
Take a
bottom.
few steps.
No, I'm good.
Watch out, Louise. Yeah. I know, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fine.
The ground is so.
We got it.
But he needs.
We got it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh. I've got factory.
6 o'clock tonight.
Vamos a tomar.